Hey everybody, Jon here from Anglers Covey, and we're coming to you today with a tying video for Bug of the Month. This month we're actually talking about midges, and I'm super pumped to come to you today and tie for you one of my signature patterns with Umpqua Feather Merchants called the Blindside Midge. Now the Blindside Midge has had somewhat of a cult following here in the fly shop for quite a while here. I came up with this fly close to 20 years ago in trying to crack the code on those picky fish that are eating emergers and you can't quite figure out what fly to throw. So this was through a lot of R&D, and I came up and landed on the Blindside Midge, and it absolutely hammers fish. It's one of my #1 confidence flies year round, and it's a really simple tie. So let's get started. All right everybody, we'll get started with the Blindside Midge. So today I'm going to tie this in a size 18. I love the TMC 2488 hook. This is super universal hook, and I like to tie this fly anywhere from a 14 clear down to a 26. One thing to keep in mind if you're tying these in sizes smaller than a 22 is try to leave off the bead to keep that hook gap nice and wide so you can still hook those fish. Second thing here, Semperfli Nano Silk 30 denier thread. This stuff is bulletproof, it's really strong, and it doesn't build a lot of volume on the hook, so I really like this. I'm just going to start some of this thread right behind the bead here. And one thing to note about this thread, when you cut it, you don't want to cut it with your scissors. You just kind of want to shear it with the side of your scissors. If you try to cut it and your scissors aren't super sharp, it will fray everywhere and it will be very annoying. And I'm just going to work this thread down under the bend of the hook, keeping this body nice and uniform. This is a midge emerger, so going back down on that hook shank, it actually supports kind of the shape of those bugs when they are emerging through the water column. The second, or the third material I should say, is UTC extra small silver wire. I like to use the silver on this black pattern. I'm just going to start this right behind the bead, and I want to lay this right on the back of the fly. Off to the side can be okay too. I want to come back here down to where I stopped that thread and then jump it back up behind that bead. And this is where you can kind of look at the fly, make sure you have an overall good profile here. If you want a little taper, you can add that. And I'm going to actually wrap this thread back towards me, and I want to create some gaps in this wire. This will represent that segmentation in the fly. And I want to go right up behind that bead. Do a couple loose wraps here, and I'll helicopter this guy off. Do a couple tighter wraps just to make sure everything's secured there. Now I'm going to come in with the Thorax, and I love this UV pink ice dub from Hairline. This is kind of one of the secret ingredients of this fly. One thing to keep in mind when you're using this coarse dubbing like this is less is more. So I like to start really super sparse. I tie a lot of these so I kind of have the amount down that I need, but it'll take you a little bit to get there. And then when I'm dubbing this, when I'm making my noodle, I want to do it super tight. I want to create a lot of friction in between my fingers, and I want this really nice and tight here. From what I've seen, it can be easy to overdub this fly. And again, I just want to create a thorax. When I'm wrapping this on here, I want to create a little gap between the bead and that thorax. You can kind of see there's like a little indentation there. And this is going to give me a really good spot to put my ostrich herl. So this is the final ingredient. One thing to keep in mind with ostrich herl is hand pick it. Look for really good feathers. I like to get the best looking ostrich that I can. You know, a lot of barbs on those feathers, not really any wide gaps there, and that seems to be kind of a good call for anything using ostrich. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull off the barbs off the end of this feather, and you can see how there's just the bare stem is there. And one thing to keep in mind about ostrich is it's actually a concave material, so the spine of the ostrich you want to be facing you. So if you think about, if you're looking at a V, you want the tip of the V to be facing you. If you tie the feather in this way, when you start wrapping this, it'll splay all the feathers back towards the rear of the fly. And I'm just going to stick that stem right in that indentation that I created. I'm going to do a few tight wraps there just to make sure this material is secure. And then I'm going to wrap this towards me, maybe 2-3 times maximum. I'm going to cross my thread over so I can catch that. And I'm going to do a couple just loose wraps. And I captured the feather at that point. Now I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to pinch this back and do a couple tight wraps right on top of that. And that's going to promote keeping that ostrich feather facing towards the rear of the fly. Now you can either come here with your scissors and cut that or just pull it off. And again, if I want to splay it back a little more, I can add a couple more wraps. And then I'm simply going to come in here and whip finish. Like to do a double whip finish on these smaller flies. Just make sure it's not going to unravel halfway through my day. Again, I'm going to come through and just kind of shear that thread with these scissors. And that's the Blindside Midge. So a great midge emerger that works year-round. This pattern's available in gray, purple, and this black, in sizes 16 through 22. And again, if you're looking for that fly to kind of crack the code when fish are being really picky, this has been my go-to for that. So alright everybody, that's the Blindside Midge. So again, this is super effective fly in that emergent stage, and as we all know, trout love to eat flies in that emergent stage. So this fly is available here at Angler's Covey. In fact, we can't keep it in stock. It's a super easy fly to tie, and it's available in sizes 18 through 22 in the colorways of black, gray, and purple. All three colors work very well. Through the winter, I tend to lean on black and purple a little bit more. If you do have any questions on this fly, how to tie it, come into the shop, come talk to me, drop some comments below, and until next time, we'll see ya.